Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Brian in another country here. And I thought I'd come back to you today to talk about something that has really been, picking at my mind a little bit recently. And if you read the title of the video, you may think that this is kind of a negative video. I don't really want it to be a negative video, but I want to talk about things that I see in myself and also I see in other team leads when I'm working as as a regular hand. And I just want to kind of shed some light and just talk about some of my feelings on some of these things. So today we're going to be talking about why I'm a bad leader and what I'm planning to do about it. So just kind of jumping in. I think, let's start with what's good. What should be good. I think that a good team lead is proactive. You need to be proactive in your day-to-day so that you are always ahead of the game, so that you are the leader. You're always leading the pack. So you need to be understanding what are the things that need to get done and how are you going to do it most efficiently, especially if you're doing something like an out. You need to understand the order of things so that you can get the show out of the building as quickly as possible. And that can include a few different things. One definitely thing that you need to do is you need to talk to the show crew. You have to spend time with them and say, hey, we have this many hands that are coming in. We have, what are the other departments going to be doing? Are we going to be starting downstage? Are we going to be starting upstage? How do we go about making this the most efficient process possible? And what's most importantly is being safe. We want to make sure that everyone is safe the whole time. That is the most pivotal part about being a team lead. It is your responsibility to keep your crew safe. You must understand how everything moves on the stage so you can position your people in the safest possible way. So I think that being proactive is very important, and something that I do personally is especially if it's after a show that's been in there for a while, say like a week or so, I'll just do a walk around the building. I'll say, all right, here are all the cases. These are where these different cases are. These are where the, let's say, meat racks. Here's where all of my loom cases are. Just going around and making sure that I understand where things are, because there's always going to come to a point where it's like, okay, we need these cases out here. Where are they? And I can say, oh, they're in that hallway, or oh, they're on the second level there. You need to go bring them down. And making sure that those things are in place before they are needed is pivotal. It's very important because doing a wild goose chase around the venue, that slows you down significantly. It is horrible. And so I always try to avoid that. But you can't always avoid stuff like that. And, there's always going to be, wrenches thrown, so to speak. So you always want to be prepared for stuff like that. So always being proactive. I think that I'm fairly good at that. I think that I'm always trying to think ahead, but it's always something that I can always improve on, always making sure that everything is where it needs to be. And something that can really help that is don't getting too involved in the work. And I know that sounds really dumb because especially if you're a team lead, you may be, self-admittedly, you may have more experience than others. And so you may be able to perform the duties faster than your general hands. But it's very important that you don't do that because you are the person with the brains. Don't take the brains out of the operation. Not to say that the hands don't have brains. Of course not. But you are the person who understands how everything is supposed to be moving in the venue. And you need to be planning for everything. So it goes right in hand with being proactive. So if you're sitting there coiling cables into cases, taking down lights off of pipes, you're not being ready for the next thing. You're not planning ahead. And you need to plan ahead. It's very important. And so you can't get too involved. Some people may look at you and say, oh, that guy doesn't do anything. He just stands around all the time. But you're not standing around. You're always talking to the people around you, especially the show crew, and saying, okay, hey, what do you need next? Oh, you need these cases? Okay, here, I'm going to take these people and tell them to go grab those cases while we're, taking the lights off of this electric. And then that one's going to be ready. And then we're going to do the next one. So you're always planning things, moving people around without having to actually do all the heavy lifting. So you always need someone like that. And that is the team lead's responsibility. So don't be ashamed if you feel like, oh, I'm just standing around. I'm not really doing anything while I'm working my hands super hard. Especially if it comes to the end of a loadout, you can start jumping in and helping with stuff like that. I do think that there's a balance with it, especially with smaller shows. You need to be involved with it. If you have like a 4-man crew and you're part of that, you should definitely be jumping in there and helping with stuff. But if you got a crew of 20 or so people, you can't be getting too involved. You have plenty of hands to do the work, so make sure that you are organizing them correctly and not getting distracted by doing the work yourself. All right, next thing I want to talk about is taking the time to teach instead of watching people fail completely, because this is something that I am definitely I'm definitely guilty of doing this, and I don't feel too good about it, but I kind of come from a place where you need to fail in order to succeed, and that the best lesson is failure. So that's my mindset. But I've definitely gotten feedback from other people that have worked with me and said, hey, I don't know what's going on. I don't know how to do this most efficiently. And I feel like you're not taking the time to teach me. And that's something I've been trying to improve on, trying to say, okay, hey, you know how to properly coil a cable? This is how you do over under. Oh, when you hang the light, make sure that you attach the safety cable, and then you can cramp down everything, and then you can unlock the light. Taking time to just do those simple things, just 1 minute out of your time, it makes people go so much faster. It really does. And so I've been trying to improve on that time and time again. I get distracted with stuff, and especially if it's a huge load in or load out, I'm running all over the place and saying, okay, I can go back and fix that myself. Because that is something you should be doing as a team lead, is you should be doing all the safety stuff. If you hang all your fixtures on a batten, go down the line, make sure that all the clamps are down super tight. Make sure all the safety cables, make sure all the lights are unlocked. Make sure that make sure that there's a strain relief on the cable loom going off of the batten. Stuff like that. You should totally take responsibility for that, because if something does happen, if a light does happen to fall off, God forbid, you are the person responsible for that, not your crew. You are the team lead. You take that responsibility. So taking the time to really teach people and making sure that they're doing things safely and performing their work safely is really, really important. And that's a lesson that I've trying to get better at, and I'm going to continue to get better at. Making a video like this is going to hopefully hold me more accountable for stuff like that. I'm going to rewatch this video just for myself. I appreciate other people tuning in, but I really try to make these videos for myself, because I like looking back and seeing the words and seeing where my mindset is when I'm thinking about these things. It helps get me in the right place. So I hope it does the same for you too. Anyways, this one is one that I'm really bad at, and that is remembering names. I am really bad at remembering names, and I can, point at people and say, you, or these people, raise your hand. If I didn't point at you, if you're not raising your hand, don't follow me, stuff like that. And, it's taking a couple minutes to say, hey, what's your name? My name is Brian, hey, shake your hand. And, because it happens to everyone, say, I know you told me your name, remind me again. Taking that stuff, it just gives people more humanity, especially because some of the work that we do does feel very, what's the proper word for it? I guess just like general hands, I guess. You're pulling cable, you're putting on lights. It's not very strenuous work, I guess. And some people may just feel like they're cogs in the machine, and putting a name to the face and saying, hey, I see you. I see the value in the work that you're doing. You're doing a great job, whatever your name is. Saying stuff like that is really important. It makes people feel valued, and they are valued. I think that everyone from the top to the bottom of the food chain, or just all the people that are going around doing the work, are extremely, extremely important. And so putting a name to that and calling them by their name is super important. And I've been horrible at that. Even people that I've worked with multiple times, I'm like, what's their name again? I don't ask them, because I just don't have time to get into the awkwardness. But I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to be awkward. I'm going to say, listen, I don't know your name. Please tell me your name. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm going to remember it from now on. Doing stuff like that is something that I'm going to do, because it creates more humanity in the work that we do. What else? Always refer people to the steward. Your job is not to bicker with people. It's not to, tell people when they're going to be called back tomorrow. You have a steward for a reason. You're not taking all the responsibility of your crew. Yes, you're taking responsibility for their work, but you're not in charge of the schedule. You're not in charge of all the HR, I guess, human relations. And you just tell them hey, Go talk to the steward. That's their job. That's why they're here. I can understand it can be hard, especially if you have a working steward, someone who's on the, if they're the head carp or whatever, they're on the deck, they're working, and say, hey, go talk to this person maybe when they have time. But, you can say that, and I have a lot of people come up to me and say, I don't want to talk to them right now. They're busy. Yeah, they're busy, but always when you're put on as a steward, I don't care who you are, your first responsibility is to be the steward. Even if you're a working steward, even if you're the head carp, your first responsibility is to be the steward and take care of your crew. First and foremost. So always say, go talk to the steward. And I've made mistakes where I say, or I just assume things that say, oh, maybe around this time, about this time. It's not my job. I don't talk for the steward. I say, hey, go talk to the steward. So I've been getting better at that. I've been trying to get better at that, but I'm going to continue to do that. That's not my job. I don't get paid for it. That's why we have a steward. That's their responsibility. Refer to them to the steward. Anyways, the last thing I want to talk about is do not take the credit ever. I am not the person hanging all the lights. I'm not the person addressing all the lights. I'm not the person doing all the cabling. Yes, I oversee all that stuff. Yes, I tell people to do those things. Yes, I am the person who is coordinating everything and making it all happen safely. That's true. But I didn't do those things. I have a crew of however many people doing that with me. I say with me, not for me. They're not doing it for me. It's a group effort that we're all doing to create this show. Whenever people say, oh, you did a great job, Ryan. Oh, no, we did a great job. We all did a great job. It's a team effort. Never take the responsibility, ever. Never, ever. It is so much bigger than you as a team lead. And, some people can get kind of like an ego, especially if you are put into like a head position or whatever, steward position, or if you're on a show crew, whatever. No matter where you are in the food chain, you don't take all the responsibility. Never, ever. It's a group effort. These shows are so much bigger than us, and we would be stupid to take all the credit. And so I don't think I'm really bad at that. I don't think that I've really said that. I've said things like, I'll give an example. If the assistant's watching, he'll get a laugh out of this, but I have referred to the assistant electrician that works with me as my assistant, but I don't really think of him like that. I don't think that he's my assistant. He assists me and he assists the work, but he's the assistant electrician in the house. And referring to him as my assistant electrician makes it seem like he's lower than me, and I don't believe that. We work together to make these things happen. I just happen to tell him how it's going to happen. And if he's got a better idea, I always take time to listen to it. It's always important to listen to your assistants because most of the time they work a lot of the same stuff that you do, and maybe they even have more experience than you do, and they have plenty of ideas. They've worked in the house just as long as I have. And so I always try to take time to say, hey, how do you think we should do this? Or, or tell me I'm wrong. I really need people to tell me I'm wrong, because a lot of the time I can be saying, oh, I think we should do it this way. It's like, I don't think we should do it right now. I don't think we should do it like that. And I say, I appreciate that. Let's try it your way. Don't get too, ahead of yourself. Anyways, that just, caught my mind. And I hope that these topics, landed with you. I hope that we can have a conversation about it in the comments if you guys want to talk to me. I love talking to people. So anyways, don't forget to be safe. Bye.